Welcome to Eileen Chevalier's typewriter alphabet botany class. We are on the letter B, which is the bleeding heart. And today we're going to do a little flower dissection with me, Eileen Chevalier, and my daughter, Ella. So, if you have your bleeding heart card, go ahead and get it out, because we're going to talk about that. And if you have the art cards, like I do, you can go ahead and get out your art card and so you can make notes on it. I've already made some notes on mine, so that'll help us in our dissection, figuring out what everything is. So we have two different kinds of bleeding hearts with us today. Do you see these? Do you remember the name of these? The ones that are it's on the back. You can pick it up and look.
Dicentra formosa.
Dicentra formosa, right.
Cool.
But the one that we actually have growing in our yard is not that kind. Do you see how there are lots of different flowers coming from this
together?
Yeah, they're coming out together. But that's not how this one looks. So it's a different kind. Let's see if I can find the bleeding hearts. So this book is amazing. It's in the book recommendation video. So this is the Smithsonian DK Natural History, the ultimate visual guide to everything on Earth. No small undertaking.
Here it is.
All right, so here on page 153, there's a picture of a bleeding heart. And as you can see, this looks pretty different, right?
Yeah.
This looks like the one in our yard. So it has boop, 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 little flowers all down the stem, but they are single.
Like this.
They're not grouped. Exactly, that's what ours looks like. So, oh no, did you drop it? All right, and then I'll read this to you. So in here, it says, actually, I'm gonna get my glasses on because I can't read it without these. So it says, Dicentra spectabilis. I had to get my spectacles on to read it. So this says, named for its heart-shaped flowers, it grows in damp woodland edges in Siberia, North China, and Korea. So this is a slightly different bleeding heart. But it's also called Dicentra, so it's Dicentra spectabilis, and the one that we have on the card is Dicentra formosa. So do you remember, Ella, what those two words are? Like if it says Dicentra formosa.
Genus and species?
Mm-hmm.
The first one's genus and the second one's species?
That's correct.
Oh, so the genus is all the bleeding hearts, and so that's why they're all Dicentra.
Right.
And then just the type of it, like the Pacific
The species.
species.
Yes. And specific and species kind of sound the same, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the formosa that we have in here. And the spectabilis is the one that we're actually going to take apart, but they're really similar on the inside. So we'll put that one back there. And first we're going to do this really cool thing.
Oh, look like a person in a bathtub.
Yeah, so this is the lady taking a bath thing that you can do with your bleeding hearts.
From this scene, it looks like someone's riding a horse. If you look sideways.
Yeah.
If you look from it sideways.
You look at it sideways, it does look like someone riding a horse. Very cool. All right, so let's look and see what all these different parts are. First of all, we have this thing that it's hanging down from. What is that called?
It
That's a weird name.
What is it called? I don't know.
It's the pedestal.
Oh, that is a weird name. It almost sounds like petal, but like a window seal that has a
It does sound like a petal, or it sounds like pedestal. But it's a pedicel, Pedicel. So if you want to write the name for that one, you can write that on your card. You'll see it right down here. And then, so that's the first part we are going to look at. And then the next part is this pink part, which is the most obvious part for us to see. What do you think the pink part is?
The petals.
Yeah, the petals, right? But you're wrong.
What? But they look exactly like
and
petals.
they're pink, and they're fancy. They look like petals, right?
What
So there's
are
this
they?
tricky thing that flowers do, where they have a part that surrounds the petals.
The
So if you look up, see 5, 6, 7? Tepals, petals, sepals.
It's the sepal.
It's the sepal, right. So the sepal is surrounding the petals, right? So these pink parts are the sepals. All right, so let's take these guys off.
But on there, it looks green. But on the kudzu, it's green, whereas it's in pink.
Yes, right? There's so many different varieties. And often the sepals are green. But sometimes they're super fancy. Like, have you seen a calla lily?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people think it might only have one petal, but that's not true. That's not even a petal. That's actually a bract. It's not even a sepal. I'm silly. So, but sepals can be really different too. Sometimes bracts are fancy and show-offy, and sometimes the sepals are. So right here, it's the sepals.
Like a sunflower.
All right, so I'm just going to cut into it. Oh no, cut too far. All right. So there is
A bunny.
the bunny, or the right sepal. And here is the left one. If I can get it off. I'm trying to do it and preserve everything else inside at the same time. Okay. So, the other book, excuse me, that we're going to look at is this amazing book. It is the D.K. Smithsonian Flora book, and they worked with the Kew Gardens to make this. So they have this amazing 2-page spread on the bleeding heart.
That is a huge picture.
I know. Very cool. So this is the same one that we have at our house right now, but not the one that's in the picture. See how they're individual? Boop, boop, boop. So that must be the spectabilis, Dicentra spectabilis. And this one's great. It has this wonderful diagram. It says closed flower structure. So it's on page 268 and 269. So it's closing it, and that way it's pollinating inside. It makes it easy for the pollen to be transferred.
How does it pollinate inside?
Oh, so the sepals actually did this thing. So before, they were down like this, and they were covering up the very tip of the flower.
Oh, so that, like, the kudzu, how we see, it was, like, enclosed in the sepal, and then it, like, opened up, and then the flower, like, came out, and all the petals came out.
Right. So it can pollinate when it's inside there like that. All right, so we have the sepals. We know what those are.
The little bunnies.
Mm-hmm. And then next we are going to pull off, what was next in the story? Remember?
The slippers.
The slippers. Oh goodness. I'm gonna put my glasses back on. That hopefully I will pull it apart very carefully.
And not pull
and
it out.
not break it.
Whoa, you did it!
Yay. Oh, I'm getting there. Let's see if I can do it all the way. It's very difficult. Okay, so
We did it.
So now we took off these two. These two pieces are next. And what do you think these two pieces are?
They look like some kind of weird alien.
They look like slippers. All right, so I'll give you a hint. This right here is going to be the male and female part. The female part is in the center. What's the female part called?
The pistil.
Mm-hmm. And the male parts are around it. What's that called?
Stamen.
The stamen. So if it's not the pistil, and it's not the stamen, and it's not the sepal.
It has to be the petals, but those don't look anything like petals.
I know. Aren't they the craziest looking petals you've ever seen? So those are the petals though. And I will put them on my black book so that you can see them better. And I'll also, yeah, you want to put the sepals on there? All right. So the sepals that look like bunnies and the petals that look like the slippers. Uh-oh, that one's falling over. We'll do it like this so you can see the inside where everything else was. And I have another question for you. Can you have one petal on a flower? I mean, if it's a normal flower, nothing happened to it. Can a flower have just one petal? Can a flower have just two petals?
Maybe.
It looks like it has only two, right? Sometimes it looks like it only has one, but sometimes flowers do this weird thing where it's called fusing. So they come together and they look like just one. Like if you and I were to sit really close and our arms were attached, people might just think, oh, that's just one really large person with lots of arms and two heads. But it's not really. So these must have fused, right?
It's like Siamese twins.
It's like Siamese twins. So if you see it, you can see that line. This is almost like a little fin right there.
It does kind of look like a fish if you do it that way.
Like this. So this little fin piece is right in the middle, and then in this lower part, you see there's like a little bump that goes all the way up. So what do you think?
Is that the seam where like they got sewn together?
Yeah,
basically?
I think so. I think that might be where they fused. So I think that is two, and that's two, and so we have 4 petals.
Cool.
But they're just fused into looking like 2 petals. And I kind of had to pull them apart anyway.
So it almost looks like they're one.
Well, they were fusing at the base, yeah. All right, so let's look
and
at...
the base and the top.
Oh, true. Everything was joined together at the top. All right, so let's look at these. Oh, here, I want to see it before. Don't touch the other one yet, because I just want to look and see how they are touching it. It's going to be really hard for you guys to see it out there, but we'll tell you all about it. Look, Ella. Do you see this?
Yeah.
Look at the relationship between this anther. Do you see the anther, though?
And the pestle tip.
What's the top of the pistil called? The tip. It's sticky.
Stigma?
The sticky stigma. That's right. So, I'm going to try to hold this up without it falling apart first for you.
So it would make like a little heart with a line in it.
Yeah. Here, you want to put the other one where it would be?
Yeah. You can put this one right
here. There. Ooh.
Yep.
It's fine. Don't touch the base one. We'll just put the other one on top. Try to get it over there where it was.
There we go. We did it.
So it makes like the little heart that's in the center. And I don't know if you can see this, but here is the stigma and here is the anther. So the anther has pollen and it's right next to the stigma, which is where the pollen needs to go. So that's really convenient if you're a self-pollinating flower because it doesn't have far to go. All right, so now we can...
So the little male anthers give the female part pollen?
Yep.
It's like in the
pollen
story,
is on the anther.
It's like the story when he keeps giving her gifts.
Oh, yeah.
How the male parts are giving her.
Yes. Lady needs a present. So here are 3 that are on this side. And what are these things called again?
The stamen.
So when we have just one, it's a stamen. It's really weird because if we have one man, he's just called man, and then you have multiples, and then it's called men. But if it's just one, it's a stamen. What is it called when there are multiples? Like here.
Stamen.
No. Just put an S on it.
Stamens.
You can say stamens. The Latin-y way to do it is stamina, because that's, you have an E in and
it's almost like you're running and then you
IA.
have your stamina.
I know, right? And you can think of guys as having a lot of stamina, if they're going to do a lot of work and exercise and all that, and they need a lot of stamina. All right, so here are the stamen set for stamina from the other side. So there are 3 on each side, which is interesting because usually when you have things in groups of 3, it's a monocot, but we know that this is a eudicot.
Oh, right, a eudicot, not a monocot.
All right, so far we have sepals, petals, stamens or stamina.
Oh, and the
And
pistil.
now we're gonna cut it apart first though.
Ooh.
Let's see what's in there. We've already cut one apart. Oh, look, this one that we cut apart earlier. Do you see these teeny tiny little balls right there?
They're like the little seeds.
They are the little, they will be if they're not right now. Those are the ovules. All right, so let's see if I can.
Cut this open.
Yep.
Here, I can hold it or something.
I kind of don't want you getting too close to the blade. I don't hurt you. Okay.
Oh. Ooh, there's all the little tiny baby seeds.
Yeah, there they are. Look, and they do look different than the one on the card. Why do you think they look different than the one on the card?
Because they're a different type of flower and maybe they're not as old as the other ones.
True. Age can definitely have something to do with it, right? So when the ovules haven't had the pollen combine with them to make a seed yet, then they look different than after they actually become a seed. So that could be a difference. It could just be that the way that they are organized in the ovule, because that's what this thing, what is this thing? It's not the ovule. The ovules are the tiny little dots that will become seeds.
The ovule? Oval?
It is kind of an oval shape. That's a good way to remember it.
Oh, the ovule?
Ovary.
Ovary.
Yep. So the ovary is at the base down here, and I'll hold it up so you guys can see. So here is the pistil, the female part. So the ovary is right here at the base, closest to the pedestal, closest to the stem of the flower. And then what's this long part in the middle?
The pistil? No, it's all the pistil.
The whole thing's the pistil. So let's think about it.
It's
The pollen from the anther goes on to the what's that part at the tip?
The
Sticky
stamen?
Stigma.
No, stigma.
Yep. So the pollen from the anther at the end of the filament on the stamen goes to the sticky stigma. It travels in
style.
It travels in style, and it goes down to the base, which is the ovary. I'm pushing it over.
And then you can see all the tiny baby seeds.
And you can see all the little ovules in there. So, whoops.
The bunny.
We're losing a bunny. Here, I'll put this one
Oh yeah, that one has a
on
nice
there.
stem.
And that has the little pedestal part on it. So, if you have a journal or if you have cards like me and you want to
Take
do
notes.
some drawings or take some notes, then you can do that on here. I'm going to write my notes on here when we finish up, and then I'll just put it back in my box and keep all my notes together from botany class.
Cool.
So, thank you guys for joining us and looking inside a bleeding heart with us. We'll see you next time.